Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone book is what I'm going to talk about in this video. It's been a long time coming. You guys have really been asking for this one. Finally, I've finished it and written my review, and we're going to talk about it. So let's get into it. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Afan, and welcome to my channel. Before we talk about the book, though, I have seen the entire Harry Potter series, the movies, on the channel for the very first time, and that's how I became a fan of it too. You guys asked me to see the movies. I saw the movies. I loved it, and you guys in the comments told me that if you love the movies, you're going to love the books even more. So then I decided I'm going to read the books. It took me, 13, 14, 15, 16 months to read one book. The smallest of all books, by the way, so you guys tell me. Yeah, I actually read it in about a week, honestly, but the thing about me is I'm so busy, it's kind of difficult for me to find time to pick up the book, but once I pick up the book, then it's over. I go through the book real quickly. I've done my quizzes, by the way, as you can see. Ravenclaw Pride, let's go. If you want to see that quiz, I've also done my Patronus Charm quiz and the Wand quiz as well. That should all be on the channel. Links to everything is in the description down below. Now then, the book. So one thing that I kept hearing when I was watching the movies was that the books are way more in-depth, which was to be expected. They are books. They have the luxury to be sort of huge, unlike a movie. A movie has to be within that 3 hours mark. There are a few movies that go over the 3 mark, but generally speaking, you got to keep it within that 2 hours to 3 hour mark. That's like the longest you can go. So it's understandable. But for the most part, the first movie was very book true. It stuck to the book for the most part. I mean, the opening was different in the book. Mr. Dursley walking through back home from work, and he sees all these people in wizard costumes, and he's so weirded out. And for a moment there, and this was something that you guys touched in the comment as well, for the moment there, I felt like I could relate to Mr. Dursley. Now, I know that's a blasphemous statement. I would never, ever get that from the movie, but I got that from the book because, look, you got off from work, hard day's work, you're tired, you just want to go home, and on the way, you see these crazy people dressed up in wizards and witches costumes, acting all weird. I mean, yeah, you're going to be a little like, whoa, what's going on here, John? I mean, I am a muggle after all. Don't tell Voldy, though. We also then learn, which we also learn in the movie, that Harry Potter is 11 years old in this book. And obviously there's a whole birthday sequence with Hagrid coming in with the cake and so on and so forth, which I thought was really sweet. Hagrid, as always, being a sweet mama. Now, we obviously also know that Harry Potter is kind of special. And we also see that he has magic before coming to Hogwarts as well, similar to the movies. So yes, there are a little differences here and there. For the most part, though, it's very similar. You have to agree, the book does go in a lot more detail. The world is way more expanded. They go into a lot more detail about Quidditch, which is great for me because I love sports. I grew up playing sports, and I still play sports, and I absolutely love sports, and more sports. So seeing more Quidditch games, well, not seeing, but sort of recreating them in my mind while reading, was brilliant. The book also takes its time to develop some of the characters and develop some of the relationships and friendships between these characters. And I thought it was important to do that in the first book and also the first movie because it is the first, right? It's your introduction to this world. So it is very good to have those sort of detailed encounters with the professors and, like I said, classmates and friendships and so on and so forth. So that was great to see. You learn about the houses, obviously, and who's in which house, and you learn about the rivalries and stuff like that as well. You get introduced to the Golden Snitch, Draco Malfoy, that is. And you just sort of experience these students' just regular life at Hogwarts, just daily go to this class, do this Quidditch game, you know, this quiz, this person met that person, this professor did this and that. You know what I mean? It's just regular school life, which is, that's not like a bad thing. I'm saying that's great because it really draws you in. And I can only imagine reading that as a kid while actually going through school. I mean, it wasn't long ago when I was in school. Now, when I say school, I mean university. But it's sort of similar in that sense. You know, student life isn't all that different, honestly, in high school or university. But it did remind me of my student days as a little kid, walking to classes and just friends and liking some people, not liking others, and those annoying people in the class that oh man, I thought they absolutely nailed Hermione because she is such a classic annoying top of the class girl, and she was in every class that I ever went to. She was there. And when I say she, I mean a different girl was there, but like she represented basically a Hermione. You know what I mean? Every class had a Hermione. So you just were like, is there anything you don't know? Come on, give us a chance. I absolutely loved Ron's and Harry's relationship. I thought in the movies it was great too, but I really liked it the way it was done in the books. It was really like a brotherhood. And they were just little kids, but they were sticking together through it all the entire time. In the entire book, Ron is there for Harry. Whatever Harry needs, whatever he's doing, Ron is just like, all right, let's do this. If it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Let's do it. Whereas Hermione is a little different. She's like sort of pulling them back, sort of like stopping them from doing certain things, failing, obviously, and being just, what's it called? Like a goody two-shoe. I think that's what that is. Similar to Neville. And then at the end, something happens with Neville and Hermione, which I'm like, once that switch happens, you're like, oh, that was kind of good, you know, because this person that didn't want to break any rules or anything like that, now she's doing this? Really? Wow, let's go. Our boys have a really good impact on this girl. Whereas Ron is just there. He's like, let's do it. He's one of the boys. So that was those three's dynamic. But I also like the fact that the book actually took its time to build, like I said, these other characters. So we got to meet so many new characters, and we actually spent time doing activities with those characters as well, other than these three. I mean, these three are the main people, so obviously we're going to give them more screen time or page time. But it was nice to see others, you know, extras basically that we don't really get to see in the movie all that much, just a glimpse of them here and there. But in the book, they actually get their own scenes again, their own like stories and activities, you know, which I thought was pretty good. Again, it's that world building, which I really like. Also, I learned that Harry Potter is actually good at math and stuff, which is great because I'm exuberant at math and stuff, especially the stuff part. And what I found particularly amusing was that everyone wanted to kick Mrs. Norris. What did she do? She's a cat. So by default, she's an asshole. And going back to the Dursleys, actually, when they're introduced, yes, it's a little different, but what's also different about the Dursleys is that in one of the first paragraphs, actually, if I remember correctly, they reveal their feeling towards the Potter family, right? The wizards, rather. And they explain why they don't dislike Harry Potter and why they dislike wizardry and so on and so forth, which comes a little later in the movies, obviously. And if you think about it, actually, the Dursleys, see, the thing about them is everything that they do, all the problems that they have created that themselves. I mean, literally, if they just decide to stop, all their problems will go away. Like, literally, all of them. Well, okay, maybe not all of them, but all the problems that we see in the book. But then again, you won't get this same sort of tragic story that we get with Harry Potter. But, like, they're just haters from the start. Do you know what I mean? Just like that. And it was quite amusing in a way as well. The Dursleys also see the cat lady, McGonagall, as well. We get to introduce to her from their perspective. So that's just the general setting of the world and the introduction and characters and so far. There were then things that I picked out that I thought were quite interesting. So one of the things that immediately at the start of the book, at least, that I actually wrote down here was that Quirrell, Professor Quirrell, who's, by the way, useless as a dada, defense against the dark arts. Yeah, the dark arts. His turban smelled like garlic, and garlic keeps the vampires away. But in his turban, or rather in the back of his head in the movie, is Voldy. So does that mean then Voldy smell like garlic? And if that's true, then does Voldy repel vampires? I don't know. I haven't read the rest of the books, by the way, book 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which I will in 7 years, judging from how this went. Just kidding. I'll do my best to pick up the book early because, like I said, once I pick up the book, I'll smash it within a week. Another thing that kind of annoyed me was Madame Hooch. The book says she has eyes like hawk. And if you see my reaction, I said she has eyes like a cat. So I completely got it wrong. But at least I was on the right track. It's an animal, right? Birds are animals, right? Come on, man. All right, now let's talk about the actual story, the meat of the book. So we're introduced to the three boys and some other characters. The three main characters, Ron, Harry, Hermione, and many others as well, but these three predominantly. Harry and Ron get along right away. Hermione is sort of on her own at the start of the book. The whole thing with the troll happens, and then they sort of start to, come together and be a trio of doom. An unstoppable force. Harry immediately thinks that Snape just hates him, which was kind of similar in the movies as well. But staying on the whole professor thing, I kind of dislike the fact that professors just had so much authority that they could just take points away and also just reward points for whatever. Like, they didn't need a reason. They would just create a rule like, oh, you get points for this thing that you just did. Oh, you just get points for this. There's no real rules with the points. They just award points willy-nilly, do you know what I mean? And similarly, they just take points willy-nilly. And there's no actual system, it felt like. Do you know what I mean? There are certain activities. Like, it's not like there are levels to certain activities. And if you do this level activity, you get 5 points. And if you do this level, you get 10 points. They just seem to randomly take points and give points, which I kind of disliked. And that's one of the reasons why Harry feels like, specifically with Snape, that he hates him. And obviously that develops a bit more later on. And he feels like he's behind all these bad things that are happening to him. Obviously, we know that it's Quirrell, but from his perspective, it seems like Snape, because Snape is kind of harsh on Harry for the majority of this book. So they get to that mirror as well. The mirror has the writing backwards, desire backwards, right? And you can really tell because, it's written right in front of you. So then you get to the whole Harry and Quidditch. Quidditch was, by the way, explored a bit more, which I absolutely loved. Quidditch has 700 fouls, and they had a World Cup where all 700 fouls were committed. That's just lovely. What I absolutely loved that part about this book was Quidditch. They actually took their time with it. They actually showed us the games. The games were intense. There were more games than just one. They were so much fun. And so Harry selected. We know he's special because of the magic and this and that and the other. But he then becomes the first ever first-year student to be selected in the Quidditch team. And not only that, but as a seeker. So right from the get-go, because I've seen the movies and so I know the bigger picture, I kind of realized, okay, it's not a coincidence. It's meant to be. So this kid who literally the whole wizarding world's existence depends on, he's being trained, right? He's being taken under the wing by these powerful wizards and witches, and they're actually trying to train him. They're actually trying to prepare him for what's to come in the future. And being in Quidditch in these tough situations, in these intense moments, that's a great way to get training discreetly. I love that Parvati Patel stands up to Draco Malfoy, by the way, and he makes fun of Neville, I believe it is. And she actually later does that to Professor McGonagall as well when she's yells at Harry Potter. So that's what I'm saying. They're like giving time to these other characters as well, other than the three, and also Draco Malfoy. Draco Malfoy, the golden snitch, man. He does so much in this one. Similar to how the movie goes, but the events are a bit different, a bit extended, like I said, because they do like to take their time with it. Like the wizard's jewel, right? So Harry and Ron is his second. And Draco, I believe, has Goyle as his second. And the bastards don't show up because it's a setup. They want Finch to find them and, punish them. But that happens at a later stage. Another thing that I just absolutely loved, how caring Hogwarts is about their students. So you got the fat lady, right? She's the password lady to the door. And she's an actual lady. So she has needs. She walks around and, she's not always there at the door. Right? Because she's, like I said, an actual person. So she'll go off and do something. And guess what? If she goes off and is doing something and is not at the door, doesn't matter if you have your password, you can yell it out as much as you want. Guess what? You're not getting past that door. I mean, we literally had a scene with Neville sleeping outside in the corridor because the fat lady's gone. Like, she's just gone. Nowhere to be found. Also, actually forget if it was Harry Potter or Ron or who it was, but someone forgets the password. And the fat lady knows who these kids are. They've been inside and they just can't get in because they forgot the password. Lovely. Really caring, aren't they, Hogwarts? Now, this was something that annoyed me about the movies. Her eyes were just like mine, said Harry, looking in the mirror. You know which mirror it is, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. See what I'm saying? If you develop something from the very first book and the very first movie, and then at the end, you mess it up, I'm gonna have a problem with that. And you should too. I mean, these movies are treating you as if you're stupid. You're not. So, don't just say, oh, that's okay. No, it's not okay. It's been mentioned in every single movie, and it seems like every single book as well, because in this one they mention it as well. Take care of it. It's a plot point. You properly do it. Then you have Snape wanting to be the ref in a Quidditch game. You got Draco. Up to no good. He put a what is called leg locker or whatever on Neville. Neville. Oh man, they did Neville so dirty in the movies as well, but in the books, way worse. It was way worse. Everything is way worse in the book for everyone, really. Also, I thought calling her that door lady the fat lady was kind of like. I mean, even in the movies, you kind of see them playing around with the fact that the Dursleys are fat, and because they're so despicable and they're so hateable, you kind of get behind the idea. And even I, if you watch the reactions, kind of made fun of them being fat, which is kind of insensitive. But here, they're just straight up calling her the fat lady. Like, what's that about? And she has done nothing wrong to anyone, or at least I don't think. Now, this was something that was told to me that I should be looking forward to in the books, was that all the houses are treated sort of equally. I didn't really get that vibe from it. I mean, I kind of see it. I see that they're giving some things to other houses. But I mean, one of the scenes, Harry is talking to Neville, and it's a fine example of it. And he's telling Neville that the sorting hat sorted you into Gryffindor, right? And then he's talking about Malfoy, and he's like, it sorted Malfoy into stinking Slytherin. Now, I get it, it's Harry Potter's POV, but right from the get-go, they just set up Slytherins as the bad people, do you know what I mean? So I'm still not convinced with that whole movies did a bad job, because from what I read in this book, the books didn't do that great of a job either with good and bad in the houses, do you know what I mean? I love the fact that Harry Potter actually uses the broom as a transport device, like to go places, do you know what I mean? Like later on, we learned that they can just... Which if you don't know, by the way, if you're new to the channel, that means apparate or disapparate or something. So, apparition, there you go. It's much simpler, isn't it? I love the fact that Hagrid had the dragons for much longer. And I also love the fact that they send Norbert, I believe his name is, to Ron's brother because he's studying the dragons overseas. He's able to safely dispose of the dragon, which I thought was kind of cool. And in that whole situation, then there's the golden snitching, as always, to McGonagall, which I kind of like that part as well, because McGonagall kind of makes an excuse for them in that moment, sort of defends them, sort of. And they all get punishment, all of them, which I'm like, yes, snitches get punishment because they're kids. I know there's Hogwarts, they really don't care about the safety of the kids, but I do, so let's just go with punishment instead of stitches. Oh, and Gryffindor was steamrolled by Ravenclaw. Get in, fam. Oh, when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, let's go. I can get behind this, definitely. But the point of that was that HP wasn't playing when that happens, and so it is basically showing that Harry Potter is a very important part of the team, even though he's a first-year student. He's the youngest. He's, whatever. But the point is he's very special. He's got abilities that no other kid has, and he's very important to the team. But that does beg the question, though. You take out a first-year student from the team. That's it. You've got no one good on your side. Because they don't say that it was a close game or whatever. They say steamrolled. You got steamrolled by the nerds. Come on, fam. At sports. And then Hermione, Ron, and Mama Weasley as well, actually. They meet the Dursleys at the train station at the end. So that was kind of nice that they see what Harry Potter is living with, whom Harry Potter is living with. I like the premise of this book. I like the fact that they set up things really well. They take their time with it. They introduce the houses, the school, the students. They introduce us to the stone, it's literally in the title. They introduce us to Harry's wealth. They introduce us to the fact that Harry is a very special boy and he's got special abilities, wizarding-wise, and also just in sports, general agility and reflexes. And so overall, he is very special. And obviously, there's this whole legend surrounding him as well, the mark on his forehead. I thought the reveal with Quirrell was handled really well in the book. The misdirection with Snape and Quirrell was amazing. I thought that was really well done. I didn't like it particularly in the book, in the movie, because for me at least it was kind of obvious, not obvious, but like deducible. Do you know what I mean? I was able to pick on it, which I guess you guys told me that not everybody's able to do that. I guess I'm kind of like Harry Potter. I guess I'm special. Anyways, yeah. I like the book version a bit more because it was a bit harder to deduce. I also like the fact that through each stage in the story, there are these other two people, right? And they're needed for certain things. So like the chess part, Ron is very much a key player in the chess. You have the Devil's Snare debacle going on. Hermione is needed there as well. So each of these characters had a purpose to be there. I also like the little detail about Petunia saying that Harry's mom used to do magic every summer when she would come back. So it just made me think, because I was like, oh, I guess the Harry doesn't fall too far from the Newton. I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Because Harry did that as well, when he's outside of Hogwarts. You're not allowed to do magic, but guess what? They're doing it. And I mean, in the movies, we hear that it was James, Harry's dad, that was the rebellious one. We kind of see that, I guess, Harry's mom, Lily, had a rebellious side as well. Now, at the start, when Quirrell meets Harry, he shakes his hand, and Harry's mark doesn't hurt at that point. Why is that? Doesn't the mark hurt when it comes in contact with Voldy or gets close to it as well? One of the reasons why in the sorting hat his mark starts to hurt, and it's because of Quirrell. Now he thinks it's because of Snape, but it's Quirrell, really, right? I was just wondering, why is that, like a continuity error, or what exactly is going on there? Maybe Voldy wasn't there at that point. Not sure. Another thing that I was like, okay, this is kind of awkward. It's kind of weird, and I never actually thought about it while watching the movies. So everyone is allowed to bring a cat, an owl, or a frog. They specifically mentioned those three animals are allowed in Hogwarts, nothing else. Ron has a rat. Now, obviously, I know what that rat is and what it becomes later on, so it's important to the script, let's just say, to the plot. But it's not allowed. So, like, or did I misread that? Were those like the three most common choices? Because if that's the case, then yeah, you're allowed other animals. But I thought you weren't allowed anything besides these three. And I also say that because when I took my sorting hat quiz on the website, they only give you three options. They don't give you an option for a rat. They give you those three options and that's it. I was kind of like, huh? Really? Another thing that I was thinking about, and again, this is not just specific to this book, but just the wizarding world in general. Now, I get the charm of it, and I get that you can these owls are used as not just for males, but they're also pets. So I get that whole aspect of it, and I get that they're really cute and they have a charm, and it's the wizarding world charm, right? So I get all that. But wouldn't it be so much more quicker and convenient if they just use telephones? They exist in this world. Use them. Come on, man. And guess what? They don't shit. Hagrid is so sweet. I absolutely love Hagrid. I love the fact that he just randomly chooses a pet for Harry and doesn't even bother asking him. He's like, all right, we're getting this owl. I like this owl. Hey, Harry, this is yours now. All right, lovely. He really is a sweet character, though. His love for Fluffy and his love for Norbert, I mean, you can really see that he's a caring person, and he's just very innocent and very caring and very, very sweet. Just makes me worried for Madame Maxime, really, because you gonna get diabetes, girl. Anyways, yeah, for the majority of the book, that is just regular student life. And I can only imagine as a kid reading that book how good that might feel, especially in such a, well, fantasy world. We all as kids have some sort of a fantasy world in our mind, you know? So to realize that and to read in a book and then see it on the screen for the first time, I can only imagine how good that feels. And I really understand why Harry Potter is such a big name and so huge, and why people love it so much, because it really draws you in with the way the books are written, but also the way the movies are done too. So those are my thoughts. Some of the things that I found interesting, some of the things a little out of place. I skipped over a lot of the story because that was included in the movies, and like I said, I have the movies on the channel already, so if you want to see that, like I said, links are in the description down below. My reviews, reactions, everything's there. Do let me know your thoughts on the first book. Like I said, I'll read the second book, I'll take notes, and I'll make a video similar to this. Also, do let me know, was this video too long, too short? If you want me to change anything about the video, this is the first time ever I'm doing a video like this, so I don't even know like if this is any good. Like, so give me some feedback on the video as well, how you would like me to do this video. I'd very much appreciate that. But let's get into the comment section and talk about this book and talk about some of the things in this book. I really am looking forward to more of these books. These books are so full of detail. I love them, man. So yeah, that's that. Like I said, reaction videos are on the channel. Reviews for the movies are on the channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, do drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. In the description down below, you'll find all the links to all the things that I've done on the channel. Just check it out. There's a very good chance you'll find something you like. Thank you for watching once again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, have a nice